So before this show started, or I guess this past week, my goal was to be like, all right, I'm coming in with positive vibes only, no negative energy. I'm going to be channeling my inner Colin
Yeah.
for the shows to come because I feel like I've been real negative. But then the GTA 6 trailer came out and it f***ed it all up.
Oh, were you against GTA 6?
No, just the whole theme.
Yeah.
Just ruined.
I'll give you
It's
that.
a Florida meme.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then at the end was just a real just slap in the face to me.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, 2025, not 2024. You're expecting 2024.
Yeah. Hey,
what have y'all been doing?
Well, that's true too.
I understand it's a big game, but we'll get into it later.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, I got you.
It already got ruined. No positivity over here today. Welcome back to Aging with 8-Bit, the podcast where we talk growing up with games and how they've evolved over the years. I'm your host, Tyler.
And Colin. What's going on, guys? So, it has been quite some time. I know we've been on a little hiatus, been busy with work, but...
Everyone's been sick, too.
Yeah. Though I'm not sick. This is just from yelling. So, it is what it is.
Yelling because you get paid to yell.
Yeah,
because
it's paid to yell. It's a glorified hobby, I should say, so... But chilling.
I mean, I wrote out a whole agenda for this show, too, on a notepad with, like, a physical piece of paper and a pen, like a caveman would.
Yeah.
But I left it at home. So it does us no good today. But basically on the agenda, we're going to play a little game later.
Yeah.
On towards the end of the show. But at first, is there anything from the past 3 weeks you've seen, heard about that you want to get off your chest or you're excited about?
Well, first, we haven't even had a chance. So you obviously were there at my birthday dinner. So I'm not going to even take up 10 minutes. But if you go to a Brazilian steakhouse, I would suggest just go to Texas Day Brazil. I'm going to leave it at that because I don't think I need to slander them. I'm going to move on from my birthday being a complete dumpster fire. But it was amazing to spend time with family, and we went to that Cidercade, which was amazing. Any of the Cidercade locations in the DFW area or just in Texas in general are awesome. The cider that I had, well, the first one was kind of rough, but I think it was just for taste. But the second one that I had was like almost like Fruity Pebbles in a cup, so it was great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and my only advice is for anyone that might go there is don't wear a sweater or a jacket because it's so packed. Like you don't need one.
We became DDR kids, if you know what I'm talking about, where they're sweating through their shirts.
Yeah, it was rough. I was like, all right, I messed up bringing this. I had a thick jacket on too. I was like, I did not need this.
You know, and what I've just been thinking about these last couple of weeks is like when we went to that Cidercade, I was like, oh, like the gaming culture is still alive and well. It just, we needed a, like obviously Cidercades, it's adhering to the, like our age group, right? But paying a flat rate and then being able to play all these games for free, it's like, it was awesome to see what looked like younger people than myself, like playing Guitar Hero or like there was a long queue for the Guitar Hero game, which was awesome.
Yeah, and basically if you live under a rock and you don't know how one of these bars works, you go in, you play a fat fleet. You pay a flat fee of, what was it, $15?
I think the 12
bucks.
Yeah.
$12, and then they have a full bar.
Yeah.
And then you can buy drinks, but they have 2 big rooms of just old arcade games, pinball machines.
Yeah. They had some new racers, though. They had, like, Mario Kart. I mean, it was a good mix.
Yeah. Any old school arcade game that you can think of, they have it there, and you can just play it for free, but
it's free
it doesn't, you don't, no quarters or nothing. Yeah. You just play that flat fee of $12 and you can play as many games. My brain's not working today. I don't know what's going on, but it was cool. What surprised me is I think she was maybe, well, she had to be 21 at the oldest, but she was playing an arcade game from like the 70s. It's like not even one like I would look at. I'm like, oh, that's, ugh.
Yeah, and like they're into it. Like there were some, and it's just like thinking of like the progression of games, and it's like obviously like what we have at home is a progression of what you got in an arcade early on, right? But there are some games it's like and hopefully some of our viewers just completely obliterate me on this, but it looks like two turn dials, right? And you like operate like this, right? And in theory, you're on a spaceship and you're directing the guns, but then you also have to like direct them and shoot at the same time. And it was like this very like physical game. And I'm like, oh my God. But I was like, there was a couple of games that I just saw people like, I don't even think I saw them move the whole night.
Yeah. And it was just, it just took me back because I'm talking about these ancient arcade games where is it even 8-bit? It might be 4-bit. I don't even, it's probably not a thing, but you look at it and you're like, that's kind of, you know, that's, we're way past that. At least give me Street Fighter, you know.
Yeah.
Or
we didn't even get to play not EverQuest, but is it EverQuest? No, it's not. The Gauntlet. We didn't get to play the Gauntlet.
Yeah, there's too many people waiting for it. And, but stuff like that or Galaga.
Yes.
Like that I'm like, okay, that's kind of my cutoff for an old arcade. But these people were, and there was a bunch of lines for these old, just like almost Snake, you know.
Yep.
That's it, or Pong.
Yep.
And I was like, it threw me off because I didn't think that type of like video games were like still alive and like people's hearts to come in, but it is.
Do you think like,
I wouldn't expect it? Like younger kids, like at least 10 years younger than we are.
Yeah, like you said, obviously they had to be 21 or over, but still, it was like
we're
younger kids.
We're not that old.
Yeah,
like 30 is not that old, but these kids were 21 at the most.
Right. I mean, like they weren't around when the PlayStation came out. Like,
no, they were definitely born after the year said 2.
Yeah,
which is, you know.
Yep, exactly.
You're newer. You don't know the struggles of the 90s, which I don't either. I was 8 at the most.
I think that, like, obviously, yes, that saved my birthday, but it was also, like, cool to see that because then it's like, obviously, places like that aren't going to pop up unless, you know, it's being successful. And so just seeing more and more of those pop up, like Arlington, I was going to tell you, Arlington just got a huge cidercade in, at like, it was like an old distillery that they bought out and then rebuilt as a cidercade. And so I was like, we need to go to that. Like, we need to go there. I don't know what so I was like, that's going to be legit. But anyways, my whole point is like things that are popping up like that, like more and more people are still playing games and stuff. So that's legit to me.
Yeah, people you wouldn't expect either.
Yeah.
Like if I saw an old 60-year-old man in there playing the super old arcades or the pinballs, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But with these younger kids, I'm like, whoa.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw this one kid who was like a little bit taller. And I literally, and I'm not creeping, but it's just because he was so tall, it stuck in my head. Like we went in and he's literally like playing this pinball machine. And I think we left like an hour and a half later, maybe 2 hours. And he was still in that same location. He may have like rotated to the left or to the right for like playing pinball, but he'd never left that area of like pinball games. So I was like, that's even in its own niche kind of community thing too.
I tried it. I had 4 paddles into one, and I was like, all right, I'm over this.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating because the last time I'd played any pinball was an electronic one.
Yeah.
You know, the feedbacks with the mechanical system, it's not the same.
Well, the last pinball I played was on HP, the Pinball Galaxy.
Yeah.
It was like if you had no internet, you could still play it. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But I was like, this is bullshit. It shouldn't, like, I hit the ball. I know I did, but it went right through, and that's just the difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to go back to GTA here since that's the newest thing going on. Alone the trailer, which they were saying that was actual gameplay footage mixed in with what they were going on with all their Florida memes.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I don't think it impresses, at least for me, it doesn't impress people anymore if you have really good graphics. I don't know if you feel the same way, but
no, I think
people are kind of numb to it now.
I think, like, for me, graphics are like a part of the course, if that makes sense. Like, I have a 2070 ray tracing like graphics card on my PC. I'm like, though that's not, I mean, now it would be considered bottom of the barrel, but a part of it is like graphics are like, yeah, I'm with you. Like, cool. I'm glad all the lines are smooth and people don't have triangle faces.
We expect it now. That's kind of the thing.
Yeah. And so it's like, for me, it's like, I think what I'm looking for now, and maybe this is like Skynet in a way, is that like I want the NPCs, like you program them, and then as the game develops, they kind of develop their own thing, right? Like in my head for like GTA is you start this group of, or like the computer like starts its own gang in a way, the game does, and then if you don't keep them in check, it spirals out of control, and you can really have an issue in playing GTA. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for anytime I look at a game like Grand Theft Auto or even Overwatch or things like that, when you come out with a new edition, I'm not looking for a graphics update. I'm looking for a game overhaul.
An AI update. That's basically what you're talking about.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. But I mean, just in general, kind of like fragmenting that into saying like the multiple things that I'm looking for is that like if it's like, for example, Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2, the ideas that they were promising us in Overwatch 2 was like, oh, you can select your ultimate abilities and you're going to have these story missions to develop, you know, how you want to play these characters. And then Overwatch 2 comes out and they're like, oh, just kidding. It's just a skin overlay. And what we wanted to do was too inundated and it was too much of an hassle to stay true to our release date.
Which was so weird. It's like, yeah, we're going to do all this work, or they probably put in a bunch of work to Overwatch 2. Nah, we're going to abandon it.
Yeah, we'll give you some new maps and
it's fine.
We'll give you a UI update. Yeah.
You don't. It blows my mind. I've done that with videos in the past. Yeah. They're 5-minute videos, and it took me maybe a couple days where I just abandoned the whole thing. Imagine abandoning years of work.
Yeah, I don't.
On a game.
Yeah, I would have really
a company that makes games. It doesn't compute in my small brain of how you can just promise all these things and then just take them away at the last minute. It just blows my way.
Again, I mean, it kind of gets back to like the beginning of our podcast. I'm like, I wonder what those developers are going through. I mean, we get up and we have our 9 to 5 that we do, right? So imagine like with whatever we're doing with work, you're doing it for years, and then 3 months before this big project is about to come out that you've been putting like blood, sweat, and tears. Think about the people that put in overtime to put these things to come out. And then like 3 months before, the company is like, hey, yeah, all that work that you've been doing, yeah, we did pay you for it. But no, we're not going to use it.
Delete, going in the trash bin. And it's specifically Blizzard, which I love Blizzard games. I'm not going to hide that. I've always loved World of Warcraft. But they have been known since almost the beginning of their company. They overwork their devs mercilessly. I can't speak
mercilessly. I can't even say it either. No.
Yeah. They annihilate their devs with overtime work because they expect so much from them and on a short deadline. And I feel bad for them. And still people are going to complain like, oh, this game sucks. And as a dev, that's got to be heartbreaking because you're like, oh, I just put in 98 hours a week for the past 2 years to get this out in time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it's like this, like in my head, it's like an artist, right? They work on this piece of work for, hours on end, and then it comes to no avail. That sucks.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at, like, with it, is like, in my head, it's like graphics updates are cool. And I think it's a part of the course of, like, graphics updates. And, hey, like, we know you all are having, like, everybody now has an Xbox S or a PS5 or the newest graphics card or the newest PC setup. But for me, I need the game, leaps and bounds. It's kind of like God of War. Have you ever played those?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, like, the original God of War to God of War 2 was, to me, overall. Because God of War 2, he had other weapons, right? So that's a whole battle class or like battle mechanic that they have to put into the game, put in hours, build, and so on and so forth, because it's not like his dual blades where he can spin and everything else.
Ooh, we're Chaos Blades. Let's just
Chaos
Blades.
There's a lot of angry. I know they're gonna come after me on that one,
especially after the Game Awards where he roasted COD. So you need to get that one right.
Right, that's true.
But now going back to your point on the newer systems, not just better graphics. I always thought it would be cool, especially in a Grand Theft Auto game, if they had NPCs remember you throughout your playtime, you know, say you start playing and one day you go on a little rampage and you kill a bunch of people in downtown, whatever.
Right.
Everyone does it. It's not a secret. But then 6 months later, an NPC shows up in full decked out military gear
to your house, like your safe house.
Yeah. She's like, you killed my brother 6 months ago. I'm here to take revenge. And then it goes and it shows a whole backstory of her like training and doing push-ups, target practice in her backyard.
Yeah, I would love that, like an unsuspecting just home invasion.
Just having NPCs remember you. Now that's probably impossible because of all the crazy, messed up stuff you do in Grand Theft Auto. Like every every NPC would have a revenge story on you almost. Be like, you T-boned me in my car.
You stole my car.
I lost everything. My wife left me.
You have no idea. But that to me, like that would be perfect. Like I would take a graphics, like a lack of a graphics update for that.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and I think to your point, I think it's like they want to show us like, hey, it renders really well. It looks amazing. Hey, look, the sun in the nighttime and the daytime cycles are almost real to life. And I'm like, I don't care about that, like at all. You know what I mean?
I want it just to be fun. But okay.
I know
I know, but this is working in with what I was going to say anyway.
Yeah.
The biggest slap in the face was not coming out on PC. There's no port for PC. It's only Xbox and PlayStation.
Oh, I know. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the port for PC is probably not going to be for another 18 months. And I know this game is going to be massive. It's going to be super system dependent to run this game.
Yep.
And the one group of people that builds entire systems to run games efficient.
No, you were right.
I'm just going to give up on the...
You were efficiently
speaking.
You had it right.
But my brain died at a certain point, and I don't remember.
Well, it was like, even to your point, it's like they build them efficiently, and you've left us out in the dark.
Yeah.
Or like, just like...
That doesn't make any sense. Why?
No.
The Xbox and PlayStation users should be last.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you think their modding community comes from?
Yeah.
It comes from PC players.
Yeah. It needs to go to the people that spent, $4,000 on an early access to a 4090.
Yeah, yes.
They have nothing else going on except
they made their own
play this game.
Yeah, they 3D printed their own liquid cool tray and all that.
Yeah, that should have been your target. But no, that blew my mind because I was like, it's not even 2024, it's 2025. It should come out on everything all at once.
What
y'all been doing?
But I also think it's like, do you remember the old like console wars, holiday console wars? Yes, no, maybe so. We'd have to talk like maybe 08, 09-ish.
Was that the newer generation, like the not newer, 360 to PS3?
Yeah. It was that going into the PS4.
The Wii.
Yeah.
God.
But what I was meaning is like those four had like their like niche holiday editions to like put them higher up in the market. That makes sense. Like just to give you an example of like a bundle, like would be Jack and Dexter, right? Mm-hmm. Or the PS5 when they had a second batch of PS5s and they were available to everybody. Yeah. They had the God of War edition, right? Kind of set them apart in the market. You can get this Xbox S with no games, or you can get this PS5 with God of War full release, that'll take you 60, 80 hours if you want a full complete and blah, blah, blah. I think we are getting into our next... That was my hands.
No, you're good. I was making sure I hit record because I'm telling you, my brain hasn't been working today. So,
man, I think we're getting into the next batch of console wars because the PS5 just came out with their Slim Edition. And if you think about everything that's going to align with 2025... Now we're past, like, people are getting more social. Things are kind of getting back to normal from everything where the world was crazy, right? And I think we're going to have, like, we're going to get to a point where they're in the stale portion of the market with consoles, and they have to set themselves apart, right? So Xbox has an exclusive game that they'll come out with, which could be though I know we just brought this, or we kind of hint dropped Call of Duty. Remember, Microsoft owns Call of Duty now. So if they wanted to make a special edition Xbox and say, hey, this is only for 2 months, you're only going to be able to play it on PC and Xbox. Cool. Or, vice versa. And so maybe that PlayStation or Sony has gone to, and I've gone blank on the developers for Grand Theft Auto.
Rockstar.
I've gone to Rockstar and said, hey, this is what we're going to do in the holiday season. We're going to have a pink and blue Miami Vice PS5 special edition that's going to come with GTA 6, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to set ourselves apart in the market because, when we went to, and I don't know if I've ever told you this, so when we went to E3 that year, my brother-in-law and myself in California, when we were up there, so like they let us in, they let all the people from not the community, but the business people, they get in first. They get into E3 first because it's a trade event for them.
Yeah.
Right? And then the fans got to go in and we got to play test, Call of Duty and other things, right? Well, when you're in the in the convention center, if you look up, there's all these offices upstairs. It's like 3 floors, right? And there's all these windows, and they're like lit up and so on, right? Mm-hmm. And you could see what would be like meetings and stuff. And now, like, that communication and news is kind of like sort of transparent. We'll say that. More now because of the internet, right? Yeah. Something happens and boom, it's on the internet and you can find it, right? Well, those business meetings happen and, like, for example, let's just say NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA is going to come out with this new graphics card. So they approach Sony and Microsoft and they say, hey, we're going to release this. We are ramping up our supplies so that you guys can put these graphics cards in your systems, right? And so they kind of already know. And what was that? So when we went to E3, that Call of Duty was 1.5 years away from being released. So let's just say they have a 2-year calendar of like what's the next thing that's going to come out. So like they have like certain parameters to make the PS5, and I'm thinking about the Slim Edition, right? Mm-hmm. They said, hey, all of your components have to fit into this because it has to ship by this date, right? And then they said, once we see what the sales are, then we can start slimming down the body, and you'll have more time to refine your components to make them smaller, so we can have a Slim Edition, right? And it happens all the time, but I'm wondering with those these releases of these games. Because right now, GTA 6 is the only one that I'm shooketh about, you know what I mean? But think about, Elder Scrolls, right? When they released, what was it, 6? Not 6. It was Elder something.
You talking about recently?
Yes.
So, they had Skyrim, then they had Elder Scrolls Online, and then that's it. And then
what was the big mic drop? There was a big
Elder Scrolls 6, but it's been delayed. It's It's like GTA 6.
Yeah, and so it was this, that would, to me, that shook me, right? They were like, hey, we're going to show you all this stuff, and they have all these cool things, big mic drop, and then they're like, delay. So it's like people know more than we know, obviously, of something that could be coming.
Oh, yeah, no one tells us anything.
Right.
Yet. Until we get.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe if we get, we are, I think, at 36 subscribers
we're
now.
At 40.
We're at 40? Dude, you have no idea. That is a big deal.
Big deal.
We are partying at 100. Tell your friends.
Yeah, we really will. God, you threw me off. What was I going to say? Oh, and with Elder Scrolls 6, people are now going to doubt ES6. I'm just going to call it that.
Yeah.
After Starfield.
Oh, I know.
You dropped the ball on Starfield.
Yes.
Technically, I can't have an opinion. I haven't played it yet, which it's on the list. But just from what I've read, people are already being like, man, if Starfield is like this, I can't imagine what ES6 is going to be like. They probably screwed it all up. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
It's still Bethesda. You got to give them a chance. But it only took that one game.
Well, and I think we used to be inundated with so many games. Obviously, there's a reason why GameStop had its market, because we were inundated with all these developers and everything. And I think we've developed these small monopolies in the gaming market, in the gaming community, that you're right. It's like if you have a game that comes out and it's like a bus, sorry. Like, you're going to have a heart. Fallout 76, we still have memes about that game.
Yeah.
You know, like, that is a
what was
bad
the other
mark.
one, Redfall?
Yes, the vampire game.
Yeah.
Which is like, they're like, it's almost like movies, right? Like, obviously they give us the trailer and they're like, these are the best bits of the movie. And then I don't know about you, but there's been 3 movies in my life where I was like, man, the trailer was amazing. I got to go to it. And we literally get up and leave. I was like, this is a waste of my $90 that the movie theater wants to charge me.
Matrix 4.
Yep.
Terrible.
Yes.
I can't believe y'all did that to pretty much every character. I'm not going to get in the Matrix right now. We've done it in the past before we had video, but
right.
I'm not going to get in the Matrix right now. But
right.
God, that threw me off. What was I going to say? So anytime I think about that movie, I get very angry because of what they did to.
Well, yeah, the first
series.
3 were amazing, but
what was I going to say?
Talking about game releases.
Oh, okay, yeah, because your original point was the console wars,
right?
Going back with Xbox Slim, and I could be on an island in the middle of nowhere by myself, population of 1 on this thought that I'm having is that I don't give a damn about the console wars anymore.
Right.
As far as the Xbox, PlayStation.
Yeah.
What's Nintendo, the big one?
Yeah,
Brain.
You didn't know that they're going to release your liquid cooled $35,000 collector edition Nintendo?
They need to. They need to. It might save them. But I don't care anymore. Like, as far my theory is, or my opinion is that everyone should just build a PC once and it's good for, 5 to 8 years.
Yeah, I agree.
And just build a PC and you're off. The only thing stopping people from like having a full-blown PC is Xbox or PlayStation exclusives. Yeah. I'm not saying that's the only thing stopping them. Like, there's obviously the cost involved, but at a point it starts to equal out once you start pricing out points, and because it lasts longer than, because what's the life cycle of a console now? Like from the PS4 to the PS5.
PS4 to the PS5, I think was
6 years.
5-6 years. Yeah.
I mean, with a solid build, like the PCI build, I'll get 10 years out of it easily.
Yeah,
no problem.
And so you guys don't know, I want to give you this little life hack. If you go to Best Buy and ask them, hey, do you have any open box deals? So sometimes people just want to look at the PCs, and so what they'll do is they'll open the piece, they'll open the box.
Like the graphics card or whatever.
Right, and then they'll like let them look at it, and then they're like, oh, no, I don't want that, and they close it. Best Buy and Best Buy, please don't come after this channel because this is just a life
take
hack.
on Best Buy.
Okay.
I've seen your prices.
But they have to give a discount.
Garbage.
And so I had that 2070 setup that I had. I was looking because I was going to buy a graphics card. And I was like, you know what? I have more time. I'll have more time if I just buy a pre-built. And they had one. It was like originally like $1,600, $1,700. But this guy had opened it, took it out to the parking lot, opened it, and then brought it back. And it still had the foam packing, that they put in there, and it expands.
Yeah.
Still had that in there. And I got it for like, I think $900.
Wow.
So, I mean, you just have to go in, and then they'll have like, every Best Buy has this. You just say, hey, I want to look at your open box deals. Like, do you have any? And they have to tell you like, oh, I've got this, it's this discount or whatever. And if you're a good talker, like if you could sell a refrigerator or if you could talk to bricks and not seem crazy, you could talk to the manager, and sometimes the manager will give you an extra 5% off. But there's your call-in life hack for today.
Well, the other thing why I said, like, we'll take on Best Buy, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because half of this channel is about supporting local, like, small businesses. So,
yes.
I don't.
All your classic games, don't buy them from big box stores.
Yeah.
I will tell you that has been the most. So I was in Walmart the other day and Target, and they are targeting us with these classic games. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're hitting on it hard.
The 25 games on one CD again. I'm like, don't do that. Go buy the original copy. A, it's a conversation piece, but B, You plug in that Nintendo 64 that you spent $190 on. So you paid the original price from the 90s.
And we haven't got tons of views on those promo videos yet from local game shops, but people could call BS on this, but I'm serious. One of the positives about going to your local game shop is you meet actual people in your community that way, because I've noticed if I take 2 trips to go get some footage of a shop, I'll see maybe the same couple of people in there like throughout the day while I'm there, and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, you still here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not a good YouTuber, so I had to come back." And I was like, "Oh, did you end up buying, whatever? Did you end up buying that Star Fox 64?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's great. I realized I didn't like the game, so that's why I'm here. I'm bringing it back to get something else, or whatever."
Yeah, but but to me, it's like the nostalgia of like the classic game store.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. So,
well, speaking of classics,
yes.
I did have a little. It's not really a game, just more of a segment.
Yeah,
that we can play, and I'm going to call it: is going out of your way to get this weapon a must, or is it just a big fat bust?
Yes.
Basically, how it works. I have 5 weapons here from 5 different games.
Okay.
And we're going to decide on if getting these weapons, because they're not on the beaten path, you usually got to go out of your way to get them. Is it worth the effort putting in to actually get these weapons? Does it improve your gameplay, or is it just, oh, it's cool, but it doesn't really matter?
Right.
And I tried to pick stuff that we both played.
Okay.
Which, again, it's hard.
If you guys haven't realized, we may have a little bit of different gaming taste.
Yeah.
But I think that's what makes this podcast. But go ahead. Hit us, Tyler.
Our first weapon up is going to be the big Goron sword from Zelda Ocarina of Time. I didn't know if I should have put this in here because, again, I don't recall your past gameplay.
No, and I'm not recalling being able to. But if you will explain it to me, I will let you. Obviously, I know you wrote it, but I want your feelings on it.
Yeah, so basically, the big Goron sword, it was the giant 2-hander. It took away your shield.
I did. Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
You literally just,
it's the only other weapon you could get in the game.
When you said it took away your shield, you literally took me back to a time of playing that. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so it takes away your shield. It's the only other sword as Adult Link that you can get. And basically, all you're doing for Big Goron to get it is you have to get him eye drops. Because conveniently, when you go and meet him after getting the blueprints from his brother, or his brother might have made you a sword. I don't remember. But basically, you go find Big Goron. He's like, "Oh, this is crap. I'm sorry, my brother's an idiot."
Yeah.
It's on the lines of what he says. He's like, "Oh, but yesterday this volcano exploded. Oh, and I have dust in my eyes, so I can't forge a sword right now." Oh, really? That's mighty convenient in this game for that to happen right when I need this sword. So basically, you're on a long quest to go make him some eye drops so he can clear his eyes. And I'm not kidding. I double-checked all these. You're going on a long quest to make him some eye drops so he can see and then forge your sword.
Right.
But to make these eye drops, you go across all of Hyrule, all of the different zones you've been in throughout this time, picking up different items from quest givers, and it's all, let's see.
Like side quests?
Yeah, they're all time sensitive. So, say you'll get, I need the saliva of a frog, and so you'll go to the Zora Kingdom, and you'll get this frog, and you have 3 minutes to get it across Hyrule, drop it off, get another ingredient, go back across Hyrule, drop off that ingredient, and you basically go back and forth until you're able to create these eye drops. And you have to have, maybe not have to, but you need your horse. You cannot do this without Epona. Is that her name? Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, you need your horse, or it's almost impossible. Mm-hmm. So with all that, is it worth getting this giant 2-hander in a game where you need your shield?
I'm going to tell you, it's because you can beat the game without it.
What, the sword?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to get the sword. It's like the ice arrows. Remember the ice arrows? You didn't have to get the ice arrows. You don't need them, for a boss fight. They're just nice to have because you can freeze traps and enemies.
Right. Man, I mean, for me, and just going off of like side quests, I don't remember, but I do remember doing it as far as like the, I would get like halfway through the time sensitive ones or any missions that are time sensitive. And it's like, if I fail once and it's a side quest, I'm just going to move on. I'll move on to the main story. And so it's like, until you see like, now that I've gotten older and you see clips of people like obliterating people with like these weapons, and I'm like, why didn't I do that? You know, but I'm almost certain. And I'm kind of going back and forth because it may have been like between me and my brother. And my brother like did it or whatever it may be. So
I'm going to say you definitely don't need to do it.
Yeah.
It's only fun to do on your second playthrough.
Gotcha.
When you've kind of done everything else, it's again like the ice arrows. It's just nice to have because it chunks. It's a great sword, but in Zelda, you need your shield. You're shooting yourself in the foot, so to speak, when you don't have a shield. But it is cool to have because you can 3-chunk a person.
Oh yeah,
and it makes you feel powerful. That. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call this one a bust. You don't need the big Goron sword.
Yeah.
And seriously, just keep eye drops in stock like I do. I've been wearing contacts for years. I'm not, I know you live in a mountain in a volcano. That's kind of on you, though.
Yeah, that's your fault.
The second weapon we're going to be talking about is the Rhino, the original one from Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
Originally, it cost 150,000 bolts, and you picked it up from Blackwater City. I think it was the Shady Vendor.
Yeah, it was the Shady Vendor.
Yeah.
You had a little like doorway like this, and you could only and his eyes glue. Yeah. Trust me, I know. Worth it.
Worth it? Okay.
Okay, so you would see it like midway through the game on original Ratchet and Clank. You like it pops up like the Shady Vendor starts like, hey, you can buy this if you have enough bolts. I didn't know this, but if you go backwards, you can like replay missions and do things to collect bolts. And if you did it enough and you grind it enough, you could get enough bolts to go buy it like mid-game. I didn't do it until in-game and then went backwards, bought it, and then played through some levels, and I was like, oh my God, this thing crushes.
Yeah, it flips the game, honestly. It is a game changer because it is kind of difficult to get. Not really. It's just it's a grind. I think at max you would get maybe 3,000 to 4,000 bolts a playthrough on a level.
Yep.
So you're talking about you got to repeat multiple levels. My memories from getting it was always towards the end of the game.
Yep.
And at that time, it wasn't. You didn't need it. You had everything.
Yeah, I already had like 6 or 7
need.
weapons that were max level.
And plus, you're seasoned already.
Yeah.
Is on the sticks of Ratchet and Clank. But once you get this, it does make everything a non-issue. You pull the trigger, and it disappears. Yeah.
Yep.
But for what it is, you're saying it's a must.
I would say it's a must. Like if you're wanting to like play through, like if we're talking like speed run and then just play through the game, like the story, like you want to chase down the story, the Rhino, like you said, it obliterates everything.
Yeah, we ain't no speedrunners over here, but I'll agree with you on that one. Just because it's so much fun.
That's, it is.
I care about speedrunning. It's just what's fun.
Yeah,
and the Rhino is just fun. And it's not a super pain like the big Goron sword. You don't have to run back and forth on like a timer, and you're like, oh god.
Well, because even when you had to like go replay missions, then for me, I would go look and try to like find like the hidden stuff within that mission.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like a dual thing that I could do.
And plus, like replaying missions on Ratchet and Clank, especially the first one, it was set up to be so fun. Yeah. Just the whole universe is just so quirky. I didn't really mind doing it.
Right.
So yeah, we'll go ahead and say the Rhino from Ratchet and Clank 1, that's a must.
Must it.
The second one, or the third one, which again, I couldn't remember if you played this game. We're going with the Queen Sword from Shadow of the Colossus. Did you ever get this? Because it was not easy.
I did not.
So what you had to do was you had to slay all of the Colossus in hard time attack mode. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember this. And
once you got that, you got the Queen Sword. It was literally you two-shot each hit mark on a Colossus. It's not a joke.
What?
And you could stack it with other gear to make it a one-shot sword. Yeah, this sword was not effing around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
did you ever get it?
No, but I can remember playing on the all-out mode, and it was, like, hard.
Yeah, because that's a hard time attack mode. It's not a joke. For me, this definitely was not something you needed to get because by the time you do get it, like you're doing extra just to go back through and play all the hard time attack modes. By the time you do get it, you're so seasoned at the game. It's a non-issue to either you have this sword or you don't.
Yeah.
Because you could also get another one called the Sword of Dorman.
Yes.
If you collected all the coins on the remastered version of the PlayStation.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, you collect, I think it was like 80 coins,
yeah.
70 to 80 coins. You got the Sword of Dorman. It's kind of the same thing. Super overpowered. Not as overpowered as the Queen Sword. Because literally, if you stacked it with the right gear, you could one-shot hit points on a Colossus. And it was kind of ridiculous. Like, you did not need that sword at all. I don't know if you have that same feeling.
I don't think, no. And, I mean, anytime somebody tells me Shadow of Colossus, I'm looking for that, like, the development of it. I'm not looking for that.
I want to scale the legs and maybe get tossed off. I want to spend
I'm okay with the 20-minute fight, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I want to spend 6 minutes just dying and restarting. Okay, yeah. So we'll say the Queen Sword from Shadow of the Colossus, that's a bust. You don't need it.
Sorry, guys.
The joy of the game is killing giant, ancient beasts slowly. Not quickly.
Hope that they come out with another one of those. I don't want a remaster.
Not a remaster, but
I want a new one.
You would think with the popularity of it, they would have by now.
Well, it's like Modern Horizons has like 3 versions. And I'm like, moving on. Sorry, because I will get on a big tangent about that.
You're good. And this next one, number 4, this is another one where I was like, I think he played it.
Yeah.
The Maroon's Razor from Oblivion. Do you remember this? This was technically a DLC, so it came in after the original game launched.
I think the most Oblivion that I've played was of recent. Like, I can't. You'll have to take this one. I'm sorry, guys.
Basically, in this DLC, if you played through it, at the end, you would get this dagger, the Maroon's dagger, or razor, sorry. But it's a dagger in the game. And it didn't do nothing crazy, but it did have a unique effect on it that no other weapon had, and it was a small chance to insta-kill opponents.
Really?
Yeah, it was super low chance, but you could insta-kill opponents. But to get this thing, which it is part of the DLC content, you go to this new dungeon, and I had to write this down because I couldn't remember. Sundercliff, that was the name of it.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, and it was 9 levels, and it had 23 zones in this dungeon. It was massive. It was a massive dungeon. But I played through this recently over the summer, so I have a clear memory on what my experience was getting this sword or this dagger.
Right.
And hell no, it's not worth it. That's all I'm saying. Because in my defense, the build I was playing was a reflect build, like where you gather up armor.
Yeah.
And it reflects all damage you get, physical damage. 90% of the NPCs in this dungeon, guess what they are?
Magic damage.
No, I had reflect magic too.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So reflect all magic, reflect all physical. It's only one thing it doesn't work with. Can you guess what it is?
Poison?
No.
No, I don't know.
Arrows.
Oh, yeah.
90% of the NPCs in this dungeon were archers. I was like, this is the worst possible outcome. I didn't plan for this because all of my attributes are so low. I relied on just punching and enemies killing themselves through reflect damage.
Yeah.
That doesn't work when it's an arrow.
Oh. No.
So I would just be, 100 yards away and just get sniped. And Elder Scrolls is the one game that I enjoy playing on a really hard difficulty.
Yeah.
Because it just adds that little...
It's like a sense of realism.
Yeah, a little scare factor, like your actions have consequences.
Yes.
So I'd just be running through this dungeon and would just be getting blasted by, I'm talking 20 NPCs would just run out of their huts. Because when you go in down the levels on each floor, it's a whole town of buildings.
I'm with so I don't know if I told you this. I got on this so it was my Diablo days. Mm-hmm. There's like a whole, maybe they learn it in like development or it's just been created and now they teach it, but like dungeon development or level development. And so it's like the different levels and so on. And that's one of the levels of complexity is to confuse the player and or to add difficulty. Because if you know, for example, let's say the dungeon has like 20 rooms, but all in all, the whole shape of the dungeon is a circle. Eventually, you're gonna miss you're gonna bypass everything and just run the circle to finish the dungeon, right?
Yeah.
So to add levels of complexity, they add stuff like that.
Yeah. It's in each of these levels, there's a whole little town like you would find in Breville or something. Mm-hmm. I think that's a town in Oblivion. Yeah. And and they would just storm out of these houses, just 30 or 40 of them at one time. And you're like, oh, well, I'm not remotely prepared for I have no potions.
I'm not financially.
I haven't been training my abilities in restoration, healing, or any destructing. I don't have any weapons because I just rely on punching and people harming themselves. Right. So I think it took me like 6 hours to get through this because I was like, I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Are you a realist like that? Like for me, I'm that way too.
For RPGs type games.
Don't get me wrong. We all know that you will steal. I was watching.
Yeah. Like stealing's one thing. That's in the game. That's like, but I won't like create or dupe an item.
Yep.
If I can steal 2 of the item, I'll do that. Sure. Yeah. But no, with any, especially fantasy RPGs, I like that realism.
Yeah.
Even though it's fiction, I like my actions to have consequences, and I don't want to cheat to get there.
Right.
So yeah, it took forever because it is a long dungeon. Like if you played it on a normal character, you're probably still looking at like 2 hours. So when when you're a scrub relying on just straight reflect off of arrows that doesn't work, it's going to take a while. Right. So I would go run and pick up random, like, oh God, a dagger.
Yeah.
Use it till it breaks or something. But eventually, no, I got it. And man, it is definitely not worth it. Like the effort at all. It is cool. Now there is, if I can recall from my earlier days playing Oblivion, not this past summer, if you stack luck, I believe the algorithm for it is based off of your luck. So you're like insta-kill, like your death chance to insta-kill a player, it's player luck times like 0.05%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Super low.
Super low, but I think if you can stack your luck to a certain point, you're lethal. Maybe. I don't know. But then that kind of, even if you do like, you break the game a little bit and say you have 100% kill chance, that like kind of kills the fun. Yeah. But yeah, Maroon's Razor from Oblivion, that's a bust, man. It ain't worth it. The dungeon's probably fun if you have a real character, but if you're on a meme character like I was, it was a pain in the butt. Now, for our last weapon, number 5, we have the experimental Merv from Fallout 3. You know what this is?
Yes.
I
remember playing the mission. Sorry, you just took me back to the dungeon.
You're good. Yeah, you're good. The mini nuke launcher, and not just the one, it launches 8.
Yep. And if you don't play it smart, you could ruin a whole town.
Yeah, not only could you kill yourself, but you'll kill everybody. Any important quest givers, anybody that you might need in the future.
Yep.
Or just completely destroy all your reputation that you've been trying to earn in these towns.
I remember, because it's the first time you get exposed to the Murph is when the group, the Brotherhood with the 8, they have basically like 8 power armors, and they drop. And if you play it right, you can strategically hide yourself and take them out one by one. One of them, there's a drop chance. The Brotherhood has a Merv, and then you pick it, like you can pick it up. And I was in a Because I know the mission is inside one vault. Is that right?
Yeah. So to get it, it's a secret unmarked quest. That's
Right.
how it starts, and you have to collect 5 holotapes. And once you have all 5, you can go to this unmarked spot on the map, and then you can open this door to an underground lab, and it's sitting there on a table. My brother, or is either my brother or my friend, had to show me this because I never would have found it. He's like, hey, go here. There's a holotape, and you got to collect 4 more, and you get this like crazy, over-the-top, unnecessary weapon. And I was like, it can't be that crazy. And then we actually use it. I'm like, this should not be in this game. I'm glad it is, but holy hell.
Because I remember pulling the trigger, and I'm like, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop. Because I was like, I realized, like, because it has the whistle, like, when it's falling.
Yeah. I just killed all of my friends in the game.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Yeah, so it's not super hard to get. It's, okay, I wouldn't say it's hard to get, but unless you know what you're looking for, it's unlikely that you might stumble across it.
Yeah.
Because it isn't a secret quest.
I know everybody plays Fallout. Like, when Fallout was great, everybody had their own, like, flavor of how they like to play Fallout. Some people would go and, like, I'm going to make my reputation horrible. Like, the basic people, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to make mine great. I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. I was a niche. The reason why I found this is because every Fallout after New Vegas, because, no, when did this was the first one.
Yeah, this is before Vegas.
This is before Vegas. So maybe I'm thinking about the mission in Vegas with the Brotherhood. So I apologize for the whole tangent with the Brotherhood because, anyways, in Fallout, I would go to the edge of the map, and that's how I would play the game.
Yeah.
I would literally run the edges, and if it was a place that I couldn't get into, then I would go do a mission or whatever.
Then you probably, if you were an edge of the map runner, you probably found the overpowered laser Gatling gun too. I don't remember what it's called, but it was over the top like this one.
Yeah.
But it would just decimate anything in its path.
Well, because like you run into a Deathclaw and you're like, well, that's what was my whole. That was my and it wasn't my first, but there was a Deathclaw coming, like running, and that's when I had the Merv and like shot it, and it was like, and then it wouldn't stop, and I was like, I even tried to make it go away, and it was like loading and shooting them.
And you're confused.
You're like, what do I do to stop this?
I broke my game. Oh,
yeah.
No. Yeah. So it's not super difficult to get. And if you're playing on a legit playthrough where you're not doing any dupes or anything like that, there is a finite amount of mini nukes in the game that you can pick up. Now, you can buy them from vendors, but it's on, I don't know, 4-day respawn or something, and you get one. But in the actual open world that you can pick up, there's only, I think, 99 mini nukes you can actually pick up. The only other way to get mini nukes is to go to the super mutant camp and farm them basically, because they might drop like a couple every now and then.
Yeah.
So using this thing, when it uses 8 mini nukes, you got to be ready on a legit playthrough. If you're like sitting there duping and stuff, that doesn't matter, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to be selective on when you use this thing, because you only get 11 shots really.
Yeah. I would say, I mean, I don't know. Let's verdict.
Definitely, just from the ease of use and just how fun this gun is. The experimental Merv from Fallout 3, that's a must. Go get it and be careful where you're aiming that thing.
Yes.
Because you might regret it later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for the list.
So
there's more, but I just figured we'd save it for another time.
No, yeah.
And you brought up a couple games. What was the one? The boomerang one.
Oh, Ty the Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah,
I was trying to think of some cliche games that I played on PS2 that I was like, man, like they were basically coming for Jack and Dexter or other games that they were trying to like win, right?
Yeah.
And you know me, I bring up Musashi and everything else. So I love those like niche games, and sometimes the box art got me. But I was thinking of some things, but
yeah, I mean, and we'll probably do this again because there's a million other weapons I could think of to be like, was it worth doing this? Like the ultimate Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Is it worth it? That's up for debate, you know. So we'll probably do this again.
Yeah. No, as we were kind of like winding down, or what I was going to say for today, and just kind of throw this idea out here, and obviously we'll talk after the podcast, but maybe we could ask our subscribers and our listeners and or viewers, I should say, If you guys could in the comments give us a game that we should play, maybe that you're playing. It can be new, it can be old, something that gave you nostalgia or something that we should play, and we can compare our experiences. We love to do that. Obviously, we connected playing games and share that love for games, but we would like to hear from you guys for some suggestions, not only for the show and like how we can make it better, but also like games that we should play or experiences that you have that we can talk about. We would love to hear that. And again, shout out to the 40 subscribers. Let your friends know so we can party at 100.
Yeah. Well, we will really do a full party.
Yes.
But I couldn't agree more. Agree with 100% everything you said. Like and subscribe.
Yep.
We'll see you on the next one.
See you guys.
You know what I want to say? A better game than Ratchet and Clank. I'm sorry. Is Metal Arms. Did you ever play that on Xbox?
100%.
Yeah, bro. Way better than Ratchet and Clank.